morning, welcome to Road Adventure Photos. Today we're headed to do some driving around. We've got a foggy morning in August. The weather seems to be having a cooling trend around Ohio, which is welcome by me. Yesterday, I bought some thrift store books. It's a good place to get books. And I bought autobiographies about two people I really am not that impressed with. The rest of the world was, but I'm kind of indifferent to them. It's Andy Warhol and Steve Jobs. And I don't know why I wasn't ever interested in them. At my age, Andy Warhol was pretty well done, I think, by the time I matured. But if you were into art at all, you were supposed to like him. I just seen him taking other people's art and modifying that art into something he called his own. I mean, a bunch of soup cans, screen printing some pictures. I don't know, that wasn't really art in my eyes. But the point of buying those books is they're cheap, so it's not like I was supporting these people and those who worship them. But I think you should try to understand people that you don't necessarily like too much, unless it's like real easy to figure out, like, gee, why don't I like this communist? Well, communism, you know, that's, I don't need to read books like that. I suppose if I wanted to figure out why communism is a thing, I would, but I already know it's a way to steal from people. It's like, that's not a hard thing to figure out. But I do have to wonder why people are attracted to a guy who makes art out of soup cans. I've seen way better art in way lower places. So that's my opinion, of course, and art is 100% opinion. But I have a hard time believing that people were big supporters of soup cans without some encouragement. I'm suspicious that maybe the art world influences people as to what they should like if they want to be considered wise art connoisseurs. You know, they don't let people just wander into an art museum and figure out what they like. It's all been curated. You're guided around. You know, smart people like this because it means X, Y, or Z, you know, that type of thing. So that world was never mine, and I don't understand it. So I was trying to read something about it, and it cost me a whole $2.50 at the thrift store. Now, I was impressed with the book's description of Pittsburgh in the early 1900s, where Warhol was growing up. I believe he was growing up there in the 20s and 30s. And it was not a nice place then. His family didn't have a lot of money. He was fed, and I don't think that he was abused. If he was, I haven't read it in the book. But yeah, just stuff I would have never known before, and for $2 at the thrift store, now I've got the book. And when you buy a book for $2, you can write in the margins and highlight and do all sorts of fun stuff with it. It's way better than buying one for $20. That was Martinsburg we just went through, by the way, if anyone needed to know. Now, I haven't started reading about Steve Jobs. I was never a fan of him because I was never a fan of Apple. That may not be a fair reason. I don't know, I gotta read the book. And I never liked Apple because it seemed like they grabbed onto the education and government and kind of forced people to like them. And there were a lot of positives about an Apple computer. I just never liked the experience or the premise that if you wanted to be considered one of the smart people, you had an Apple. When that definitely wasn't the case. But, you know, I spent a lot of time fixing virus problems. When if I would have had an Apple, maybe I wouldn't. And it really just depended on what you were trying to accomplish with your computer too. So Jobs to me seemed like an arrogant person, and he lacked empathy for his employees from what I've read before. And it was all about the product as it was. So hopefully I find out I'm wrong in that book. That's just what I've been told before. So yeah, thrift stores, man, they're good for books. The problem is I probably went to maybe 30 visits at thrift stores before I find something worth buying. Now for me, I always find it kind of interesting to see what makes it to the stores. I rarely buy anything, so the thrift stores are just a thing that I'm curious about anyhow, so I don't mind going to them. But when you do find something, it's usually really cheap, saves you a lot of money. Well, I'm about ready to go do some work, and that requires the camera to be off. But I'll check in later.